Hello, welcome to my new show, You Throughout the Years. Here we will have conversations with ordinary persons like you and me. Everyone has a story, either good or bad, funny or sad. So come and reminisce with us as we found out how these years have shaped our lives. And today I have a powerhouse, a fighter, and my closest, again, I would say closest friend and sister. EM, wonderful to have you here on my show. Can
Thank
you
you.
can you introduce yourself to us?
Hey everybody, my name is EM, and as Rochelle said, she's my very very close friend. I am an entrepreneur. I am an author, writing coach, and vegan and coffee lover. So that's how I introduce myself. That is what I basically do. I'm really into wellness and well-being and empowering women as I go along on this journey.
Yes, she is a woman with many talents and what you would say, a Jill of all trades. So, as I always start the show, can you recall your first memory of being alive, or being born, or seeing your parents, or anything like that?
Okay, so that's the story itself. So, I was, oh my God, how should I go? You know what? Let's go from the beginning. So I was born in the Caribbean. I presently live in Canada, but I was born in the Caribbean, and I was born in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But my mom, at 3 weeks old, decided that she wanted to go back to Barbados. So she went to Barbados to live, and I stayed with my grandmother. So at 3 weeks old, I really didn't know my mom or my dad per se, because my mom lived in Barbados and my dad lived in Trinidad. So knowing my parents wasn't really something I don't, I don't know how to explain it, but I knew my grandmother. So I thought that my grandmother was my mom, until I got older and I kind of understood. I don't know if that answer part of your question, but it was when I was older that I really got to know my mom per se. I was like in my teens. I was in my teens when I met my mom for the first time. Right. So that memory stood out. I remember seeing an older version of myself, which is my mom. So yeah.
Okay. Did your grandmother then tell you when you started to walk or talk?
Oh my God. Like around 4 or 5, I was all like 4 or 5. I was chatty. I was chatty. My grandmother said I was like chatty. I would talk. I don't know. Like I've never known that. I've never known that. But being me, I think I was an early walker. Right?
Yeah.
I think I was I had an early one. Yeah. So that's just my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what attitude you had as a child?
my grandmother my grandmother always said that I've always been boisterous and, like, how they say in the Caribbean, been chatty. I talk a lot. I love to give back like a lot of answers.
Now we are moving on to your toddler stage, and we're going to talk about more EM, the child, from 5 to say 11. How was EM like? Were you a difficult child or you were a wholesome child?
I was naughty. Like I was a naughty child. I was getting in trouble. I remember I remember like my teachers and stuff like well not even I'm not even good at it because I was older. But as a toddler I think I was naughty.
Oh, you think?
So even now, like when I meet people, like some of my teachers, they would say, "Oh my God, you're still talking! Like you've always been talking, and giving back chats." When you were young. So I remember my grandmother saying that, like, yeah, I used to like talk a lot. I always used to talk.
You
Yeah,
think?
I think, yeah, because I'm basing it on what my things that my grandmother would have said, right? Yeah,
Okay.
so I think I was a naughty child.
Okay. Did you have siblings?
Yes. So on my mother's side, right, I'm the last one, but on my father's side, I'm the first one. So I have um two brothers and three sisters on my dad's side. So I had siblings. I had like so one of my half sister. I remember being in like infant school, right? And I think it was the first day of school, and she hit me on my mouth.
Oh,
Yeah, she hit me on my mouth was I remembered like I remember that my mouth was bleeding, and I they took me home to my grandmother, and because we live in the village and stuff like that, so they took me home because it's school in the village, right? And I remember that. So yeah, I had I had siblings.
right.
Siblings.
So it was touch and go having siblings. How did
Yeah.
you enjoy that?
Um, I enjoy having siblings around, and not even I should pause there and say I had my siblings, but I also had my nieces and my nephews. So with my grandmother, we all live in like one big house with my uncle and his wives, right? I say his wives. Yes, his wives. So I had my niece and my nephews who were also considered siblings to me because at that time growing up with my grandmother, we all live in one big house. So yeah,
Okay. Okay. Your childhood was exciting.
my childhood was exciting. Like before, I used to question why I grew up with my grandmother and not my mom, but I had an exciting childhood because my grandmother was really exciting, sprightly person. She loved a lot of dressing up, and we would travel. Like some of the things I remember doing with my grandmother was like going to the market to sell the food, helping her to measure and bag the because she would sell stuff from home, right? Like the tobacco and the Clorox and like the Tambrin and like different things she would sell. And like one of my biggest memory is traveling with my grandmother like most summers to Trinidad because we would travel, and I remember going on this big greenish looking plane. I think it was BWIA, but it was one of those old
Yeah.
like yeah, it was a big greenish, ugly greenish color old plane, and I've always had that memory in my head. It wasn't a big plane, but to me, my eyes at that time, it was a big plane.
Mhm.
So yeah, I remember those are the memories. My childhood was happy. Like my childhood was happy. Yeah, just that part of my childhood.
Well, now we hear the how exciting your childhood was. So we are going into your pre-teens, early teens, say from 12 to 16.
Childhood 12. So 12 to 16. So 12 to 16, that's the time that you're getting ready to go to high school and stuff like that. So I did pass my entry level exams, and like I think I've always held that against my dad. So I had passed to go to one of the schools in the town, because it was town school. Like in the village it was town, in the country it was town school and country school. So I remember passing for I think it was Bishop's College or something like that, or Emmanuel High, one of those schools. And my dad, who wasn't in my life all that time because he was living in Trinidad, he came back around that time when I have just finished starting my entry level, and he said, "Oh, you're not going to town school. You have to go to country school." So I ended up going to the country school, right? So that was something that I remember. That is still a part of my memory. Um, and yeah, from that period, from 12 to 14 years old, that was good. When I turned 15, life started changing. Things started happening. My grandmother was, of course, getting older, so I wanted to like branch out on my own and do my own thing. I've always had this idea in my head that where I was born wasn't where I was gonna end up. So I started going to queen shows, and I because of my grandmother's influence. My grandmother was a very stylish person, so I think I got some of that from her. So I would read magazines, and I remember my godmother, she, like, they would travel. So she had, like, one of her daughters used to live in the US. Two of her daughters live in the US. So they would send, when they send in balls, they would send in magazines, and so I'll always be reading these magazines about Elizabeth Taylor and those older people like Joan Collins and all of those people, so I had this thing about fashion. I was like, wow, I need to be living in some place like that. So, I entered my first queen show, and I won that queen show. It was Miss Greg's Village. So I won that queen show. And then I went and I entered a second show, which was Miss Not Windward. And I did win that. I also won that show. And then, because I was getting money and stuff, like, because I was, you know what, this is where my mom lives. I'm gonna save all my money, and I'm gonna go to this is where I'm gonna go, right? And then I entered a third thing, which was a bigger show because there was like 4 shows in stages, and I also won that show. And that show was Miss Rural SVG, right? Miss Rural SVG, which is like one step away from the Miss SVG, which would take me now to the Miss World and all of that. So that is what that I had all of that planned. But fate didn't have it that way. When I entered my third queen show, met some people who was, some characters that weren't supposed to be. I was ignorant at the time. You're young and you're ignorant and you didn't know. And I was like, yeah, I can hang with these people. They look cool. But in the back of my mind is like, so this individual wanted me to like traffic, because then I'm the junior queen, right? I'm junior Miss Rural SVG. I think before the whole thing happened, I went to St. Lucia. So I went to St. Lucia. That was one of my prize, my gifts. I went to St. Lucia, stayed with some people, get to know like a lot of different places in St. Lucia. And then I went back, and someone approached me and they wanted me to like traffic the drugs, in all those times there were 9/11 and things like that. So, you could just walk through the airport with suitcases. And so, yeah. And I refused, and by that refusal, they send out someone to, I made a report. I told someone, I didn't know they were all mixed up in this whole thing. And lo and behold, this person literally came to kill me. This person was sent to kill me, right? Yeah, there was a hit put out on me. So, yeah, I ended up getting shot twice in my leg, and that ended my beauty pageant life. Right. So yeah, I didn't give up. So then after that, I moved to Barbados, and my life began to like change a bit. Not really because of, in a way, it's because I got shot. Because growing up, when my dad came back at around 12 years old, when I was going into transitioning into high school, he then wanted me to like go to church, and he came back, he wanted to be a dad. But of course, anyway, so I had started going to church. I used to go to the Baptist church with my grandmother. I grew up like, in that Christian environment, Christian Rastafarian environment, which is the best of both worlds, right? I say. but I grew up in the Seventh Adventist church with my dad when he came back. And then, I was going to church, in between doing beauty shows and all of that. You know how it is, right? Your own way. You're starting to drift away. So then when I left and I went to Barbados, I did I was like beauty queen show is over. I'm gonna go back to church. So I really did take up studying more and getting more into faith based and Christianity and stuff like that.
How did you feel when your father just appeared in your life?
Like that. So, like I said, that my that part of my life was a bit touch and go, right? It was touch and go. So yes, I had a good childhood in the sense that my grandmother was there. She made sure that I was okay and stuff like that. But my dad, my dad was very abusive. Right, my dad was very abusive. So he would hit you for the slightest thing. He would we were girls, and he would beat us like men. Right, he would hit us like men, and that didn't go down well with me. So when I was I think when I was 15, I was 15 years old. I remember he lifted me and he dropped me so hard. He just dropped me because I had that week, he wanted us to go to the mountain to help with the banana. For those of you who know the islands, we used to do a lot of banana and stuff like that, the ground provision. And I think that week I remember that week I had my cycle. So, feeling, but him not having that understanding, right? I was like, I can't go because, I don't feel good. Belly pain, back pain, headache. You want me to go to the mountain to lift those heavy boxes of banana. I didn't go. So I remember walking to the spring that evening, and I didn't even see where this man come from. And I just literally felt myself being lifted, and I just saw the skies. Wow. He just lifted me and dropped me on my back. Wow. Right? And I was like, oh my God. I can't even, I think I blocked that out. I've spoken to my therapist about it, but I think I block out certain things because it's that is so abusive. So I remember, going back, I remember when I went for my second queen show. My dad wanted to burn my dress. Mm-hmm. He didn't contribute, but he wanted to burn my dress. So, my dad, I don't hate my dad, but I don't have really that, I love you. I would more tell my mom I love my mom, right? Because when I think back, my mom and I we've come really far. Since 2018, when my mom came to Canada, we've come really far. So I would tell my mom now, I love you so much, and I would talk to my mom every week. Whereas it's years I haven't. I spoke to my dad because there was a eruption. I spoke to my dad, but we don't really have that sort of a relationship. I know he's my dad, and I say without apologizing or I'm a woman now. I don't really need my dad that way. So it's not it's not a love loss. If anything happened, I'm gonna no. So yeah, we never had a good relationship in that way. I don't hate him, but I don't want to. It's not a cry to rush and go and lovey-dovey.
That is understandable. Abuse in any form, especially from a child coming up, it's not easy to work that through your mind and feeling satisfied with going through it, especially when you're going through it by yourself and things. So I understand. Okay, so we will move off from that topic, and we'll go to 17, 18. We're going to, now you're becoming a young lady. or young woman, so that is 17 to 19, even 20, what did you do at this time? What did you say that you did for yourself?
So around 17, 18, I had my first son. I had my first, 17, 18, I had my first son. And then, you know, I got married. I ended up getting married. Wait, no. Yeah, not at 18, but I'm just jumping forward a bit, right? I had my son 17, 18, and then of course around 20, I was 21 when I got married. Yeah, I was 21 when I got married. So that was my first marriage. So like that 17, 18, there wasn't really anything like 17, 18, 19, 20. There wasn't any, they were just like putting my life together and being a mom, right? Being a mom, taking care of my son, learning new things, learning about myself because like in the Caribbean, being a young mother is hard, right? It's hard. There's not really that a lot of support. And by that time, my grandmother had passed, right?
Okay.
My grandmother had passed. So that is one of the reasons too that I made up my mind that I was going to go to Barbados, right? Because my grandmother had passed. I remember before my grandmother passed, my grandmother had said to me, when I die, I'm seeing that something is going to happen to you, but I don't know what it is. You just have to be careful. And 1 week after my grandmother passed was when I got shot.
Okay.
Like 1 week after. The same pants that I wore to her funeral was the same pants I had on when I got shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The same, it was a white pants. I had on a white pants and that's the same pants I had on at my grandmother's funeral. So yeah, I remember that. Right. So yeah, that 17, 18, 19 period around there was just really spent focusing on taking care of my son and really putting my life back together because I had gone like into a really deep depression. So like I was I was just living, but I wasn't like consciously living. I was just going through these phases like, yeah, like nothing isn't worth it. And, although I have started going back to church and stuff like that. It was like, whatever. Right. And then I met my first husband and then, yes, we started making life together. Unfortunately, that did not work out.
Okay. As you said, your latter part of your teenage 8 years were not too flashy and trying to be the best mother you can.
I was still processing. Like
Okay.
I was in that, I was processing, but I was in that mindset, like, why this happened to me, right? Not understanding that it happened for a reason. There was a message in the mess, right? So I was processing and going through, but I wasn't healing as yet. So yeah.
Okay. So now in your 20s, as you said, at the beginning of your 20s, you got married. If you want to share, how was it like being married in your 20s and how your thinking of life and marriage life evolved?
Okay. So there's so much things that so being married young, there's so much things that like you don't know, right? So you're thinking that, oh my God, I'm married, it's a bed of roses, everything is gonna go okay. Because in your mind, in our young mind, we see marriage as happily ever after, right? But at that stage, looking back now, it's like, yeah, you are traumatized, you a young teen mother, you still have all those issues dealing with, and on top of that, you're married, right? So that was like a hot mess. There were happy times in my I had happy times in my marriage. I was like, I worked outside, but I was also like, I'm always a house. I call myself a house pest. I'm a house pest. So yes, I work outside the home, but I preferred being at home, taking care of my home, making stuff for my home, cooking for my family, and stuff like that. So they were happy period through all of that. But it's like, as I said before, I was just going through and not going through. So like the marriage really started breaking down. I didn't understand how to be like humble, like, and that's the truth, right? Not understanding the role that you have. I knew certain things that I had to do, but I didn't know enough. So not knowing enough contributed to my marriage falling apart. And then he, of course, what really put the hammer in the nail, right? What put the nail in the coffin was, like, I remember once I came home from church one Saturday, and he wanted my son, the youngest, because we had a son together then, and he wanted the older one, which is, my son, to go to the store to buy something. And I said no, and he took up this chain and he hit me so hard in my back with it, just like this bicycle chain, and I was like, nope, that is not happening. That is not happening. Like, yeah. And I started in my mind walking away from my marriage. I wasn't like physically walking with but in my mind, I was like, I'm not staying in this relationship because that person just hit me, right? So I started walking. Like, I started walking in my mind. I started formulating a plan in my mind. This is what I am going to do. And at that time, I was working at the Venezuelan Institute, right? I used to make the coffee sometimes and answer the phone and, like, clean up the kitchen and stuff like that. But I was doing like my own stuff at home and, trying to get my business, because I've always been an entrepreneur. So I would do my things at home, but I would also go out and work. So I remember at that time I was working at the Venezuelan Institute, and I was like, you know what? I'm not staying here. So I started formulating a plan, and I remember that the day I just decided, you know what, I'm going to move. But I remember going to the police station, making a report, and I was like, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Wow. So one trauma to another trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when did that, what age were you when the marriage broke down?
So I can't remember exactly, but I know that I was 30. I know I was 30, 20, 29, 30 when I got remarried.
Oh, so okay, so hold up. So, right, we're coming from the 20s. So, in the 20s, you said that you always believe into having your own business. So, what type of business do you have at this time in your 20s?
So, I used to. We had like the chick like the we used to sell like the chicken in the back, right? We sell the chickens in the yard, like have the chicken pen, and you would like kill the chicken, and then you would sell it and stuff like that. Sell it around the village to the people and stuff like that. And then we would like do like the seasoning and stuff like that. So that was what I was doing at that particular time, right?
Okay. We are going into your 30s. So what exciting thing happened in your 30s? As you were saying, you got into another relationship, marriage. So tell us about a little about that.
So yes, that was a marriage, another one, and I was able to, like, I had started like really focusing now on what I really wanted to do with my life. So when I left my first marriage, I also stopped working at the institute, the Venezuela Institute. And a funny story, right, is that why I stopped working there is that I would have to get work for 7:30 in the morning, right? So I would take my boys to Carrington Village to school, the primary school there at the time, and I would go off to work, right? So one day, my son got on the wrong bus. So for those of you who know Barbados, there's a van stand, and sometimes the vans are lined up in their numbers, right? So what happened? My son explained to me, my oldest son at the time, he explained to me, he was only, I think he was 8. He was 8. And he said to me that he went into the van because, of course, he's going for the number 6, right? But the number 8 van instead was in the, like, it slide up into, yeah. So he, instead of getting on the number 6, he got on the number 8 because the number 8 van was in the slot in, you know how the vans will pull in front of the other vans, and yeah. So it took him to Britain's Hill and all of that. So I'm looking for my kids and can't find my kids, and I was like, so they, of course, they bring them back to the van stand and had to put them now onto the number 6 van, and they got home late, and I was like crazy out of my head. Where are my kids? I can't find my kids. You know, at that time, everybody, there's no cell phone. I have like a little phone, right? But like kids don't have a cell phone and stuff like that. So you just, I was like, I'm done with this. So when I got my vacation money from that institute, I made some flyers and I started giving them out, and I'd say, I'm going to start steaming clothes. And I remember there was this lady, her husband used to work at the pharmacy, I think it was Knight's Pharmacy. Her name was, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. But it was Knight's Pharmacy, because I remember the Knight's Pharmacy. I remember that first lady. They lived in Wanstead, and her name was Miss Wiles. And I had somebody drop me. I was just giving out these flyers all around the place, and she was my first customer. And from her, I remember that day when she brought the shirt. She brought me 15 shirts to steam for her husband. She was like, "Oh my God, like you're such a godsend. I was looking for somebody to do this for me," and that is how I started building my first business per se, right? Because I had moved and I had a big house that I lived in Rochelle. You know the house that I lived in, right? So I was able to use one of that space, because the space was big, right, to start my steam pressing business. So when I started my steam pressing business, that lady was my first customer, Miss Wiles. I'll never forget her. And from her, she sent so much different people to me. And I also had my contacts from the embassy and from Rockley's and all those places. So I was able to get a lot of people to really do work for them, right? So yeah, that's how I built my first real business. And then I started adding the dry cleaning aspect of it and the alterations and stuff like that. Yeah. And, I had different businesses. So I had my plant rental businesses, and then I was doing the seasoning business in the back. And of course, I went back doing the raising the chicken and stuff like that. So, and selling the clothes. So I had multiple businesses going at that time. So yeah, around that particular time, I was just being extra entrepreneurial and busybody doing all sort of things, right? So yeah, that particular part of my life was exciting. And of course, I mentioned I was married again at that time. I had my daughter then, and life was happy for a while until, I don't know, it's always coming on to, there's a saying that when it's coming on to the 6th, 7th year of your marriage, is really started going uphill, and you have to decide if you're going to climb with that person or if you're going to, pull back and let that person go forward, right? So, because he would, and I, in relationship, it's not only one person, it's 2 person. Now that I'm old and I've grown through and I've healed, I understand that it's not one person alone. It takes both people to tangle, right, and make a relationship. So because there are things that I wanted to do that he didn't want to do, I was seen as being a threat or being this person that was too much. I was too social and too uppity tighty and bougie, and so that caused like a rift in the relationship. And of course, people thinking that you're Christian and you should know better. A lot of us, like, yeah, we didn't know better, right? We just have that name Christian, but we don't understand the true meaning of what the true meaning of what Christianity and relationship is, right? So that fell apart, and he started getting crazy and aggressive. There was threats, there were verbal threats, there were physical pieces in between there, a lot of things in the mix. And you know what, Rochelle? It's interesting because you were my rock at that time in this part of my life. Like, you were my rock. So you understand what I'm talking about. When I started having all those meltdowns and headache, and I was going crazy in my head, you were my rock. So yes, for those who are watching, I'm sharing, but you understood what I went through. For what you can remember, I know you've had your experiences. I don't know how much you remember, but you were my rock in around that particular time when I was literally going crazy out of my head, trying to save my marriage, trying to hold fast, in being a Christian wife and mom, trying to run my businesses, trying to raise the children, and trying to, and unfortunately, when he made a threat against me, and actually, because he had hurt my ankle. Right? A lot of people don't know that, but I do have the photos, like, although, when he had hurt my leg and stuff like that. Yeah, I decided that I wanted out. And I remember taking a vacation. I met this, and Spirit always put people to you when you put something out there. I was like, I need to get away from this. Like, I'm going crazy. Like, this is not working. This is not working. And my bestie, right? Her cousin nephew had come to Barbados, and I had my vehicle, so I was able to take them around the island, spend some time with them. I got to know them. We became really close. And at that period in my life when I wanted to get away, she had offered, like, yeah, I can let you come and spend some time and stuff like that. And I end up coming to Canada, right, for a while, just to breathe myself. And it's interesting also, I had another girlfriend who used to live in Barbados, and I had helped her out. She was also Vincentian, so she had moved to Barbados, and I remember doing some stuff for her, like getting some stuff from the store, because she wasn't like fully landed at that time. And she said, what, for all the good things that you've done for me, I'm gonna let you, you can come and spend some time with me also. So I end up doing that, right? And when I came back, it just wasn't working out. And when this guy, when that he was still my husband at that time, was like, yeah, I remember him saying, and I still remember, I'm trying to get it out of my head. Like, if you leave me, I'm gonna burn you, burn this house, burn everything down, and kill myself. Like, I remember a friend of mine that I had went to school with, her husband he murdered her, right? And domestic violence is very prevalent in the Caribbean, and there's things being done, but there's not a lot, right? In terms of government help and stuff like that. So when he said that, I was like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm taking my daughter and I'm out of here. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm out of here because I need to see my daughter grow up, because I didn't grow up with my mom. I don't want a generational curse. So I need to get myself and my daughter out of here, and move away from that. So that is how I end up now being in Toronto, Canada. And I moved on with my life.
Well, you have heard about EM's life from a child up to her 30s, and sad to say, you heard trauma after trauma, after trauma, she had some good times, but she definitely had some bad times. So I hope that you will hear she having good times, but after we pay again. As you heard her say earlier, she is a vegan. So we
Yeah.
know, yeah, we know they have some funny questions that people ask vegans. And I was a vegan at one point in my life. I want to go back to it, but it is taking longer than I thought. So number one, where do you get your protein?
From my lentils and mostly my lentils. I use a lot of like beans, and I use a lot of beans and stuff like that. So yeah, there's protein in beans, a lot of different beans, and like soy and stuff like that. So yeah, I do get it from there. I actually had some protein powder this morning, okay, in my shake.
Are you sure, or you get it from a supermarket? Yeah.
I get it from the beans.
Number two.
This is a tricky question.
Okay. The Bible says that it is okay to eat animals. True or false?
True, but yeah, I can't dispute. I'm not gonna argue the Bible. The Bible said that, but the Bible didn't say I have to. Did it?
Okay, but didn't they say thou shalt not kill?
No. I didn't like it.
Number three. Isn't it boring to eat salad and tofu all the time?
No, there's honey glaze, there's barbecue, there's pineapple. You mix it up. No.
Well, I think that to eat grilled chicken and scrambled eggs is better. Not me. This is what the question is saying.
No, I'm gonna put my
Number four. They say if you don't milk a cow, its others will explode. Don't you think that we are giving we are doing a favor for the cow?
No. Let it explode.
But I would not agree with you on that. That might be why my breast don't make milk anymore.
Oh my God.
And the last question: if we are not to eat meat, why are they so tasty?
They're tasty to you.
Well, again, this is the question, not me.
Okay. So all things sweet earth, all things that taste good are not, you don't have to eat it. Like, it's all things that are good are not always all things that are good for you. That's what I'm saying to that.
Yes, and at the end of that, I'll agree with you. if you would like to have your product or services promoted on this show, email us at BajunStrokesSurvivor@gmail.com. We have different packages to suit your needs. The saying is, too much of a good thing
Yeah.
is bad. So I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are going into your 40s, the year where they say for a woman, you are a butterfly who just come from a cocoon, so everything is enjoyable. This is the year when you, should be living.
Yeah, this
So
is it.
how is your 40s going for you?
My 40s. My 40s is going pretty good. I'm now more into I'm now owning who I am as a woman, right? My kids are grown. Well, not all of my two sons are grown. My daughter and my toddler, right? From my present past relationship. This is the happiest I've been in a long time. And it's because I've owned who I am. I've owned to my mistakes. I'm growing through, and I've grown through, and I've been to therapy, and I'm growing still, right? So I'm healing. I've healed a lot of things, a lot of the trauma and stuff like that, but I'm also still healing from other things. Like healing is I don't want to say never ending, because there must be a period where you are cut off period, but they're still growing through things that you have to grow through still. You can heal, but you can still grow through, right? So that is where I'm at now. I'm more open to talk about who I am, exploring things that I've never thought I would explore. Like now I not embrace other people's religion, but I can go behind their eyes, in a way, their mind's eye, and meet them at that level. Like I have a lot of friends who are Muslims. I still have a lot of friends who are Christians, of course. And I have a lot of friends who are into different parts of different things. Like, there's a lot of different things that they embrace. A lot of people that are into their spirituality, and I've also evolved around my spirituality. I no longer consider myself a Christian. I'm more into my spiritual self and my African spirituality, where I know there's a creator, there's somebody that created the world, but I'm not going to say he's only for one specific group of people. So in just trying to explain it, it's like, okay, so if you are Chinese, God is a Chinese person to you, right? I am that I am. So he is that I am to you. So I, as a Black person, I see the creator when I go to him, I see him as a Black person, praying to a Black being, and not anything else, right? So I respect that for other people. So I've evolved in a lot of things. I still pray. I still read my Bible. I read other books. I've, delved into reading other books and stuff like that to change my mindset and be more open to people. So I've evolved around a lot of, my mind have evolved a lot around a lot of things. So I've grown, and I'm older, I'm wiser. I'm more now into empowering women. That's my drive, teaching people about their wellness. The creator has given us a temple, a body. He said that our body is a temple, right? Your body is a living temple. So you have to take care of your temple. You have to eat well. You don't curse and carry on and disrespect yourself. It's a temple. The definition of a temple is a sacred place. So if your body is sacred, you have to treat it as if it is sacred And by doing that, you're honoring and respecting the creator by taking care of it, right? So that's why I'm into health and wellness and stuff like that, and eating right, thinking right, exercising, just meditating. The Bible said that you have to keep your mind stayed up. Your mind stayed up is meditating on positive things. Don't be gossiping with people. Like, I've lost a lot of friends for that. And when I was journaling some night, I remember that came to mind. Like, wow, a lot of people don't call me no more. But why are they not calling you, EM? Because when they call and they start, I would say, listen, I don't gossip. If you have something to tell anybody, that person, go and tell them. If we are here celebrating that person and you want to celebrate with me, we can call and celebrate with them, but I'm not gossiping. And I don't call me to talk idle. Don't call me to talk about your husband or your boyfriend. Go and talk to your boyfriend or your husband. I'm not your therapist. Go and speak to them. Okay. So I'm very frank and with people now. So a lot of people have fallen off. So I look at my phone with all these numbers and like, yeah, time to delete these because I don't speak to these people anymore. Because I have a plan for my life that, yeah, I call you. I call you, right?
Yeah.
I call you because you are one of the people that could always, like, you're always encouraging me to push for better. And those are the sort of people that I want around me. So yeah, like in my 40s now, I've really seen like my growth and the change and how I want to be. Like, I have my vision board. It's like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And we've always spoken about like those things, right? And yeah, I'm seeing like things materialize. I used to be very impatient about a lot of things, but I'm like, you know what? Success is not a sprint. Success is not a sprint. I keep saying that success is a marathon, right? That's why I end up naming my thing "Me Marathon of Meals" because yeah, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you learn something today, and then you apply it tomorrow. It may not come as it should, but then you go back again, and you fall and you get back up, and you do better. Right? There's so much things that I didn't know coming into a new society and that I had to learn afresh. And I was like getting frustrated, but I'm like, you know what? The goal is to continue, right? The goal is to continue, to try new things, start over, getting up. And you remember that quote that I shared with you, starting over right from scratch is not a bad thing. Because you're not really starting over from scratch. You're starting over from experience, right? And with that experience, you're more knowledgeable to apply new things to your journey, apply new skills to how you treat people and how you want people to treat you. So all of those things is like, yeah, this is growing time. This is like somebody. I was listening to this guy, and I was like, he's like, your life should be like Jacob's ladder, and that's why I developed that concept of heaven. Jake, that song, we are climbing Jacob's ladder. Jacob's ladder have different levels, levels, and if you understand who Jacob was in the Bible, he held on to God. You remember when the fight he held on. So like us have to apply that to our Jacob's ladder. Jacob was that image in your head is like he held on to God, right? He held on. So you have to find something to hold on to, and you have to climb those ladder of accomplishment and higher learning, higher like, for lack of a better word, finding yourself. Like, you have to climb those ladders to find yourself. I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way. So yeah, this is the best period. Well, I'm not like this is yeah, but for this particular moment in my life, this is where I not see myself there. Like, this is not where I want to be, but it's part of where I want to be. As I said, it's a marathon. So I'm watering the flowers on both sides, and I'm growing, right? I'm trying to water. I'm watering my side, but I'm also watering that side over there because I want people to grow with me, because I don't want to grow by myself.
He has shared a lot, and you heard her 40s are indeed her best years. Her year of growth, her year of knowing who EM is and what she's supposed to do in this life. I'm so happy. No one will never know how excited and happy I am. I'm proud. I'm so proud of you. And I love you.
I love you too.
So, can you tell viewers how old you are right now?
45 years. People like it. So I'm 45 years old. A lot of people mistake me for 30, or like yesterday, this guy said, because we were having a conversation, he was like, oh, blah, you 30 years old. I was like, nope, I'm not. I'm not in your age group.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 45. We will work with that. All right. So, one of your most funny or embarrassing moments.
Did I have a funny moments? When I remember, I think one, I think my daughter remembered this too. I think when I was going out the house, I was so busy. I think I put on a shoe and then a slipper.
And you went anywhere like that?
I got to the so if you know how these apartments are, there's a walkway and then there's the lounge area, the lobby. So I got to the lobby and I was like, something feel wrong.
Wow.
I was like in my head, I was like, something feel wrong. Like something feel wrong. And I was like, I was like, I don't know. I'm going back inside to change my shoes. Like I put on a sneaker and a slip. Yeah, I put on a sneaker and a push. You know what? Look, you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of my sneaker. So I was like, something feel wrong. I had my socks on, right? But it just didn't feel right.
I'm glad that you didn't go into the main public like that. Because you know,
it crazy.
yeah, and I know that you will have a meltdown if persons if person saw you. Can you talk about your businesses that you're doing right now in Canada?
Okay, so what I'm doing now, so my company's name is Beautiful Ashes Wellness and Heal Empowerment Center. It's really, I only have it now as an online platform, but the goal is to really have like a full wellness cafe where women can come and, learn about healthy eating, yoga, exercise, and, do all of these things, right? So that's the basis of what I'm doing. For right now, I just facilitate online, do workshops and stuff like that. And as I said from the beginning, I'm into, veganism and stuff like that. So I'm really developing programs around healthy eating. And of course, I write. So that's that's a big thing that I've been doing also. I'm just writing. And I have a course that I teach on, how you can write your book from beginning to end. Okay, so my first book, that was a book of diary entries of women that would have experienced different form of abuse, and I just wrote there some stories. So that's my first book. Diary of a Dying Diva is my first book, and it's available on Amazon. And my second book, Echoes and Illusion. Echoes and Illusion is just conversations that happen within the Black community, how we talk to ourselves, man and woman, how we see ourselves within the community, and how we see our children and stuff like that. You are a part of that book, Echoes and Illusion, because I use your services to get that book out and up. So that also is on Amazon. And my third book, which is Reclaiming Your Life from the Broken Pieces, 90 Days to Inner Peace and a More Fulfilled Life, that is, it's a 90-day book, but it's a 30-day read, if you understand, right? So it has like day one, where different things that you can use to really start bringing your life into focus. I've used those tools for my life and they have worked. That book was actually supposed to have a workbook. The work is there, but it's not published. I'm literally going to publish it. It's also there on Amazon. I think that's one of my, not one of, but my best work so far. And at present, I'm working on a cookbook. So it's something of a spiritual cookbook, because it speaks about preparing food and stuff like that, but it also has a spiritual aspect to the cookbook, right? So yeah, so that is basically what I'm doing now. My writing, my facilitating under the umbrella of Beautiful Ashes Wellness and Healing and Empowerment Center.
Okay, and all of her socials, all her links will be in the description below. So if you want to meet and support EM, the links will be in the description below. So we have come to the end of a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And what positive words or encouragement you can share with the men or the women out there?
So this is my favorite saying. I'm gonna say it. When you're on your way to wellness and finding well-being within your life, you're on that journey where you want to transform, change your life. This is what you have to do. You have to start healing from your trauma. You have to start transforming your life, and you have to inspire other people to do the same.
Amen. EM, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And I thank you for viewing. Till next time. Bye-bye.